Dave Sussman, Whiskey Politics with the Ricochet.com coming to you from Politicon, and I'm delighted to be sitting with the great Dennis Prager. Thank you for joining us, Dennis.
Wow, the great.
The great.
Whoa.
Well, it's certainly a pleasure to be sitting with you. There's so many questions I've had for you. Two things. Number one, and this is probably not interested to of anybody at Ricochet, but you and I actually sat together at Chabad in Westlake Village about 10 years ago on high holidays together. And we had some fascinating discussions. And I wanted you to share a little bit about, and you touched upon it on the panel that you just came from, regarding the fact that you have a Jewish family, and I do too, that you obviously have to maintain a relationship with from the standpoint, but also stand up for your principles and values. How do you do that? Where's that fine line?
You want me to hold that?
No, I can just hold it for you, thanks.
So, I have said on the radio over and over, no matter how strongly you might hold your values, and I hope people do, or at least if they're the values I like, your first duty in family is to love them. So I really do believe that, and it has been effortlessly maintained in my extended family. We love each other, and thank God for that. And also, and I might add, most of my relatives are not leftists, they're liberals. And I make that distinction all the time. Leftism hates liberalism. Leftism hates liberalism much more than conservatism hates liberalism. That's an irony that is true and not often noted. When you shut down people at universities because of their views, that's not conservative, that's not liberal, that's leftist. So the left loathes liberalism, and therefore I believe liberals and conservatives should actually align in fighting the left.
How do we do that today when so many of them are indoctrinated on college campuses? And we're seeing a lot of youngsters here. This is a right wing and a left wing, and I would say a majority left wing convention as far as the attendees go. So many of them have been indoctrinated by colleges. They're preventing folks from actually speaking out, like the Ben Shapiros of the world. How do you approach that from the standpoint of sharing with them the values of free speech and why conservatism should be allowed to be heard?
The very fact that you asked the question shows you what a crisis we're in. This would not have been asked when I was a kid, even though the campuses were left of center. The notion that you would have violent protests against a conservative coming to speak, this is new. This is new in American history. The right never did this to the left, and the liberals never did this to the right. This is a form of neo-fascism that has taken over the left. And look, I am going to be conducting a symphony. I do this periodically with the Santa Monica Symphony Orchestra. I'm conducting a Haydn Symphony August 16th at Walt Disney Concert Hall. And the former mayor of Santa Monica and a few members of the orchestra are doing everything they can to get me disinvited. I'm not even coming to speak.
Just to...
when you conduct, you don't say anything.
Right.
Maybe because the baton is in my right hand, they will find that to be a right-wing influence. But it gives you an idea of how despicable leftists are. It's despicable. If you can't say that this is despicable, then the word should be banished. You can't make music if we differ with you. Do I give a damn? I purposely said yes to the orchestra of the most left-wing city in America, on the West Coast, not in America. It's got competition. But I want to support the orchestra of a left-wing city because I want to show that if there's one thing we could unite on, it's beautiful music. And they won't even, they're allowing it. The orchestra, to their great credit, to the conductor's credit, to the board of directors, they are 100% behind me. But there are members of the orchestra, and they're all professors, by the way. The ones who are backing out, they all teach at UCLA. This is the sickness that pervades the social sciences at the universities. I will not play a violin if the conductor is a conservative. By the way, that's why I'm telling people, and I'm not getting paid for this. I'm doing this for the sake of the orchestra and music. Come on August 16th to the Walt Disney Concert Hall, because that will be your best way of saying no more of this stuff. And I want liberals to come as much as conservatives.
As we were walking out, a young man, probably in his 20s, came up to you and called you a Nazi today.
That's right, yes.
Okay. How is it
right.
that the left have basically taken this vernacular of socialism and Nazism and applied it to...
He identified himself as a Jew.
Yes.
And so he therefore felt that he had the right to say, I'm a Nazi. And you saw me, I said, wait, I just want to understand, you're saying I'm a Nazi. And he walked away, of course, because
cowardly.
Yes, it's fine. That's the least of his problems, that he's a coward. The biggest of his problems is that he's morally sick. But I understand these people. Jews on the left think that anyone who opposes them is a Nazi. The Holocaust did terrible damage to most Jews, including me.
It's an understatement.
Yes, there's no question.
Right.
You don't see the
My
world.
family.
Yes, no, it just did. It's not even family. It's to our psyche.
Right.
I mean, the most sophisticated country on earth took every Jewish baby and grandparent and gassed them and tortured them and threw them on rocks and burned them alive, to the tune of 6 million. That has an impact. Part of the sick, the truly sick, and I mean the word literally, I'm not using it as a pejorative, is if you oppose me, I'm a Jew, and you oppose me, you must be a Nazi. This is what this sick young man represented. You can't oppose him and not be a Nazi. And it's very sad. There are blacks who believe if you oppose them, you are a racist. I mean, it's similar. This is the left-wing poison of our time. If you oppose me, you are the quintessence of evil.
A question from a Ricochet member, Nice Grizz, and she asked a question which is pertaining to what you're talking about. Why has the left, using an epithet or racism or whatever they want to call you, how did that become so ingrained in the left? It seems like you can't have a discussion now with anybody on the left-hand side without being referred to as...
Well, there's a very simple answer to that.
Yep.
There are two answers. One is simple, one is less simple. The simple answer is they have no arguments. They have passions. The great myth of our time is that the left is intellectual. The left has intellectuals, but it's not intellectual. There's a big difference between being an intellectual. In other words, that is how you make a living.
People.
They have educated people, right? But the depth of thought is non-existent. It's shallow. So if I could just say you are sexist, intolerant, xenophobic, homophobic, Islamophobic, racist, or bigoted, then I don't have to deal with you. Look, very simple. Would I debate a Ku Klux Klaner? No. Why? Because there's no reason to debate someone who thinks that race makes you superior. It's so beyond intellectual discussion, you won't have it. There's nothing to debate. So that's what they have done to everyone that they differ with. We are beyond the intellectual pale. You don't think that global warming will lead to the existential end of life? You are anti-science. You think that affirmative action hurts blacks? You are a racist. And whatever the position, they have a one-word dismissal. That way they don't have to argue. Like that kid, I'm a Nazi, and then he walks away.
You've referred to, I've heard you speak about this to Sam Harris and Dave Rubin over the years. You talk about religion, and you talk about the left, and secularism today is their religion from the standpoint of viewing things through a political lens as opposed to a religious lens. Is that correct?
Well, secularism isn't their religion. Well, it is partially. I mean, if that were their only religion, I could live with it.
Even leftist Jews.
Yes,
right?
Right. Yes. most Jews are secular.
Right.
They believe in secularism as much as I believe in Judaism. I acknowledge that. But they don't stop there. G.K. Chesterton put it beautifully. When you stop believing in God, you don't believe in nothing, you believe in anything. So, for example, it was a secular Jew who made the campaign at PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, that equates barbecuing chickens with cremating Jews in the Holocaust. I'm sure people don't believe me, so they should look it up. It's called Holocaust on Your Plate.
Makes me sick.
Well, people don't know how bad the left is. Not liberals. Liberals are wonderful. The left, everything it touches, it ruins. It's ruining Western Europe. People should read The Strange Death of Europe by an atheist, gay, British thinker, Douglas Murray. And they'll see what the left has done to Europe.
Appreciate you taking the time here at Politicon. One last question for you. I know you're working on a project right now with Adam Carolla about free speech. Talk about that?
We're making a film with the people who made the Dinesh D'Souza films.
Right.
So we're in good hands. Adam Carolla and I, and it's called No Safe Spaces. He just testified in Congress last week, in fact, about
Ben
it.
Shapiro was there too.
That's right. So this should be a big deal because we need to bring America's attention through seriousness and humor to what is happening on our campuses.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing it. I know it's
Thank
being
you.
crowdfunded, right?
Yes.
All right.
So people want to help, it's nosafespaces.com.
Excellent.
And in the meantime, people should go to PragerU. This year we'll have a 500 million views.
500 million.
Million.
Incredible.
It is incredible.
And it's and anybody watching this knows PragerU, but hopefully people will find this as well and check it out. It's well
Thanks
worth
a million.
Thank you so much, Dennis.
Great to be with you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.